He stated that. Next day, his speech and the April thesis of Lenin are published in the form of individual contributions. One-man contribution, Lenin. And the editorial comment says that Lenin said those things because Comrade Lenin came from abroad and is out of touch with reality. And therefore he doesn't understand the situation. Now it is terribly interesting. What I'm trying to say, and that's why when Lenin said the party is more backward than the class. And the leadership of the party are more backward than the rank and file of the party. He was telling the absolute truth. Because once the movement starts, you find this conservative element reflects the day of three years before or 10 years before and becomes an impediment. And from this question of the dialectical relation between the party and the class comes the real attitude of Lenin to inner party democracy. There are people that give you a picture of Lenin, of the Bolshevik party, as a party that was always unified, actually under the leadership of Lenin. Lenin was semi-god, the party was his creation, and everything else was absolutely marvelous in the garden. To be honest, this religious attitude, I believe, is an insult to Lenin. In the same way that when people tell you that God made man in his image, I believe it is an insult to God. Because if I'm in his image, man, he should have done a better job. Now, if the picture is that there was Lenin at the top, that Lenin knew all the answers, that party was in his image, then you start saying to yourself, but I don't understand. Comrade Cliff tells us that in April 1917, the Pravda, the party paper, supported the war, supported the provisional government. Is it true or isn't it true? The document will prove to you that in March and April 1917, the Pravda did support the war and did support the provisional government. Is it true or isn't it true that Kamenev, leading Bolshevik leader, a really very important Bolshevik leader, from Siberia, sent a cable of congratulations to Prince Mikhail, the brother of the Tsar, on the application of the Tsar? The answer is historical truth. Is it true or isn't it true that in 1914, when the war broke out, and 6 leading Bolsheviks, members of the Duma, plus Kamenev, were brought to court and were accused of supporting Lenin on the question of revolutionary defeatism? This was what the prosecutor said. You would support Lenin on revolutionary defeatism. And Kamenev and another 4 members of the Duma said, that's not true. Lenin is for revolutionary defeatism. We are not. And you start sketching your head. You say, is really Lenin omnipotent, marvelous? Why the hell did he have such rotten people with him? And the answer is this, that if you speak about the party, a dialectical relation between the party and the class, in other words, the party tries to influence the class. The class itself influences the party because there is not something static in the relation there. Then of course those pressure breaks through the party itself. For example, and that's why the question of inner party democracy is so central. It is central only in the terms of the relation to the class. It is no question of saying, are you for inner party democracy himself? Because it means nothing. Democracy that has no relevant relation to the struggle of the class is playing with conceptions, with paper conceptions. It's nothing to do really with the real world. Therefore, when you want to understand Bolshevism, Bolshevism was deeply democratic because Bolshevism was deeply in close contact, in close roots with the class. For example, repeat 1917, April. It is not true that all the Bolsheviks supported the war. That's simply not true. The Vyborg district of the Bolsheviks of Petrograd, the Bolshevik party in Vyborg, issued a statement before Lenin came. Down with the war, down with the provisional government. Shelyapnikov, a leading Bolshevik, issued a statement, down with the war, down with the provisional government, before Lenin came. On the other hand, it is absolutely true that the Petrograd committee of the Bolshevik party was right-wing and soft. Kamenev and Stalin were right-wing and soft politically at the time. That's absolutely true. Because they reflected pressure. These things don't stand up in the air. These don't things stand up in the air in this relation with the class. And therefore the inner party democracy was central to the life of the party. And there was. The Bolshevik party was deeply democratic. Deeply democratic. I mean, any Stalinist that tells you that the Bolshevik party was like today under Brezhnev, or anybody that tells you from the right wing that the Bolshevik party was like Stalin's party, they are telling you a complete lie. The Bolshevik party was deeply democratic on every issue. On every issue you can think about. For example, when I mentioned the April conference of the party, where Lenin did win on the question of the April thesis against the war, against the provisional government. It is true he did win in this conference, but when he moved the resolution saying that this conference declared the complete cutting off of all relations with the Second International, there was no seconder to Lenin's resolution. You know, it is not true that automatically he won on one issue and he won on every other issue. It is not even true that even he won in April, straight away it means that in June, 2 months later, he won. 2 months later he had to fight again and again on every issue. And the best example I can think of is really not June, but July. I don't know if the comrades know this story. I mean, perhaps I assumed it too much or too little. But when you look at June 1917, there was a peaceful demonstration in Russia. In Petrograd, the Bolsheviks decided to have a peaceful demonstration with the slogan, "Down with the 10 bourgeois ministers, down with the war, down with the provisional government, all power to the Soviets," or something to this effect. They decided to have demonstration. I mean, because I'm not quoting word for word from the slogans of the time. They decided to have a demonstration. The Soviets were controlled by the Mensheviks and the Social Revolutionaries, by the right wing, decided to ban the demonstration for a few days. When they decided to ban demonstration for a few days, the question was what to do. When you read Trotsky's history of the Russian Revolution, he said, once it was decided, the party decided to accept this decision because they didn't want a showdown and decided to postpone the demonstration for a few days. And then a few days later, there was a massive demonstration of 500,000 workers and soldiers with big slogans. More than 90% of them were the Bolshevik slogans. This is the story as it is written in Trotsky, the history of the Russian Revolution. And it's a true story, except for a few small things. And the small thing is this, that the People's District of the Bolshevik Party issued a leaflet calling it a betrayal against the Bolshevik leadership's decision to accept the postponement of the demonstration. That party members all over Petrograd started tearing their party cards. And what was more interesting, that when it came to the question of postponing the demonstration, Lenin didn't vote for the postponement. What he did do, he abstained, because there were 5 votes, and he knew that the 3 will carry it against him. And he wanted to keep his left shoulder ready to speak to the Weber comrades, because he knew that those Weber comrades are excellent comrades, notwithstanding their attack on the party leadership. What I'm trying to say, don't really believe that the party works like a machine. That once Lenin said, we retreat, everybody said, yes, comrades, we are retreating. Nothing of the sort. The Weber district acted not correctly. I don't think it was correct what they said. But it was much better that they did that than they think they were little puppets on the big man's fingers. And when it comes to July, it is even more interesting, July events. Because you know what happened in July. In July, it was after the big army offensive. Kerensky had the big offensive against the Germans. And then the offensive was beaten to pieces. And when they were beaten to pieces, in which Trotsky's history of revolution said, and then there was a spontaneous demonstration, and the spontaneous demonstration said, we are going with guns. And the Bolsheviks said, for heaven's sake, we don't want to show down with the government yet, because we have a majority perhaps in Petrograd, but we haven't support all over the country. And therefore we don't want a showdown. This is true. What Trotsky missed, by the way, from the story is a small thing. When it said spontaneous demonstration, he forgot to say that it was the Bolshevik party rank and file that organized this spontaneous demonstration. It was not simply Mensheviks or a social revolution that organized the demonstration. It was party members that organized the demonstration. And when it came to the demonstration, there were 3 leaflets issued at the demonstration. There was the Pravda line that, as Trotsky said, is absolutely correct. The party line said quite simply, we are not going to a showdown. Then there was Soldatskaya Pravda. It was also a daily paper of the Bolshevik party, edited especially for the soldiers, that not only called for coming with our guns, but called for a military uprising here and now. And when it came to the conference of the Bolsheviks in June, there was a resolution there from the